Ladies and gentlemen, tonight it's really a big pleasure. I had the great pleasure to talk with Claude Silver. Hi, Claude. How are you?
I'm so well. How are you today?
Very well. I am really thrilled to speak with you, to have this great opportunity with you. You are doing so many good things for the world, not only for your company or for your coaches or mentees, but it's really outstanding to follow you. You are the first Chief Art Officer, but I think if you are on the CX Goalkeeper show, then if I speak, I take away time from your speaking time. And therefore, Claude, my first question would be, could you please introduce yourself?
I would love to. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. My name is Claude Silver, and I am VaynerMedia, VaynerX's Chief Heart Officer. I'm actually the first Chief Heart Officer. Now there are a few others that have introduced themselves to me. My role is to be in touch with every single human being in the agency and ecosystem of VaynerX, and to infuse empathy throughout the organization. And it's an incredible job. It's one that I wake up extremely happy and very curious as to what will come my way. And I love being at this intersection of people and the experience that they have and the experience we're giving them here.
That's really great. And I am always speaking about customer experience, about employee experience, and I think now it's really the great opportunity to chat about employee experience. But before we start deep diving in your daily job, what you are doing to really create this empathy and at the end create great result and working for a super successful company, which values drives you in life?
Spectacular question, I think. I have to say humility. And even to say humility makes me embarrassed that I don't have humility, but I'm aware of how often I put myself in the back of the bus so that I can be there and hold space for other people. And that is my job, and it is my honor to do that. Generosity of spirit, certainly kindness, compassion, empathy, and I would say a healthy dose of my own self-awareness, my awareness of me, so that I know when perhaps I'm getting triggered in a conversation, or when perhaps I need to course correct. I can read the room, I can read the Zoom. So I would say those are the guiding ones for me. There's so many, but humility, generosity of spirit, compassion, kindness, empathy, listening, of course, is extremely valuable. And I can go on and on, but really being in a safe space and creating that space together is what I have found the bedrock to have connection and create meaning with one another.
Oh, that's really great. I think this is extremely important, to create a relationship with the other people. And I think also looking at your career, you traveled around the world. You worked in London. You are back in New York. You did first strategic job, project management jobs, and now that you are the Chief Art Officer. And I think you developed also yourself during your career. Perhaps which are the key ingredients that made you so successful and gave you the opportunity to have such a great career?
Again, a great question. You go right to the heart of it, which I appreciate. I didn't expect much from myself growing up. I didn't think. I was a very poor student, and so I often contributed everything to luck. I was in the right place at the right time, right place at the right time, right place at the right time. And one day I opened my eyes and I said, okay, something that I'm doing must be at least creating the right place at the right time. And I mention all of that to say that I'm a learner, I'm a student, I think having that type of mindset of a beginner's mind and feeling like I know very little, has given me created an engine inside of me to propel myself into different rooms and different doorways as a student. And then one by one, I believe that the way I articulate things is very simple, is very common sense, and I think that is what is appealing to a lot of people. I don't want to make things overly complicated for people.
I think it totally makes sense. I think human beings are enough complex entities, and therefore there is enough complexity inside, and therefore it's important to create this relationship. You mentioned that you were a poor student. People that are following you also know the story that you told several times, and that you were around with the colleagues, and then she told you that the first thing that you need is to know yourself before you can start knowing other people. And for me, related to this topic, it's I think independent in which business we are. You are working in an agency, I am working in an hospital, but basically we are all human beings. And which is the role of the human beings in businesses?
We are the heartbeat. Without us, there is no business. Without us, there is no culture. There is no camaraderie. There is no warmth. There is no success. There is no failure. So I believe that because we are the heartbeat, we are the engine. The role is to create relationships, to create healthy relationships if possible. And that's utopia. I realize it's not every day. So I believe the role of humans in business is to create relationships, collaborate, invent with one another, be curious about each other, push each other, and drive each other towards great success. And success can mean a variety of things to a variety of people.
And what does it mean to you, success?
Well, success is really the happiness and health of my family. I mean, that's for sure. That's the first thing I have to say. Success for me is also when I'm in conversation with someone and listening, I get the chills on my arm or in the back of my neck when I know something very special is happening. Even if it's not the greatest conversation about the happiest things. But when we're locked in with one another, that's success to me. Success is also seeing teams build resiliency together, build trust together, and within that, build a sense of autonomy. When you have that trust, you can create that autonomy with one another, and no one's jealous of each other. So
Back to
success.
humility.
Yeah, yeah, yes. Why not? Right? I think when I answered the second question, what I really am trying to say is because I failed so often in school, and I feel like I fumbled a little bit in my later adolescent life. I didn't expect. I knew I had potential, but that was it. Everyone has potential.
Yes.
I knew I was one of those everyone people. And it wasn't until I saw repetitively right place, right time, being chosen for the team, that I was able to think a little bit more highly about maybe what I have to offer and found a way to belong. And my one and only thing that I want to do every single day is to create places and spaces where people feel like they belong, really, truly, authentically, consistently belong.
And I think this is exactly the perfect definition of employee experience. And you are really working in a super successful company. And perhaps the question is, where should people start and where should people improve this employee experience? You shared also one great example, giving to each employee one rose, and it was more than 800 roses, and you had handwritten notes, and this shows not only empathy, but that you really care for people. But I think this is the key ingredient of the success of what you are doing. But not every company is so focused on people. Where can we start?
Yeah, you can pick up your phone right now and you can text a random coworker or a coworker, a colleague that you really appreciate and say, I really appreciate you. Or a random colleague and say, I'd love to get together for a coffee. Thanks for bringing great energy to the workplace. Whatever it is, you figure it out. But the point is connection and gratitude. That's where I think anyone can start. You don't need a title. You don't need to work for Gary Vaynerchuk. You can just be Bob Jones, Kathy Smith, Claude Silver, it doesn't matter. And say, thank you. I see you. You matter to me. Done.
And I think it's not so expensive, isn't it?
No. I mean, maybe your thumb gets a little tired if you do it often, but that's about it.
But I think if you train enough, then you're also quick enough. Perhaps this is really a great example. Do you have another example that you can share with my audience?
Sure. One of the things that I think is really important is to listen to people. And it's one thing to listen to people one-on-one, but you can also bring 8-10 people into a jam session, and maybe that's on Zoom or in the room. And you can do an Ask Me Anything and provide them with transparent responses. That's the key. If you're asking them to show up authentically, then you need to show up authentically. Now, sometimes those of us that work in the back office, there's a lot of things we can't say. So figure out what you can say before you go into that room and then open it up. But most importantly, in that room, what you're doing is you're allowing other people to connect. On that Zoom, you're allowing other people to connect. I did one of these yesterday. I call them culture jam sessions. There's nothing beautiful about the name. There were 16 people, counting myself, random people. And I started out with saying, okay, what is your name? Where are you? What do you do here? And what is your sign? Astrological sign. Yes. Okay. Then I said, okay, who else is a Cancer in the room? 2 other people. No, you're a Cancer. And then made the connections. Oh, who else saw that show with them? Someone saw Rage Against the Machine, a band. This guy over here said, I saw that same exact show. I was there. Well, by the way, those 2 people will probably never meet face to face. One's in California and one's in London. There's no reason for them to meet in the workplace, but just this connection. And I do it as much for me because I'm curious about people as I do it for them, because I want them to get to know each other so that we can scale the culture. And also because, you might meet a friend. Who knows? And so that, employee experience, I mean, what is it? What are we really talking about? We're talking about the enjoyment of being at work. How can you enjoy and feel like you're moving the ball down the field every single day in a way that brings you joy and in a way that brings the company whatever that KPI is: joy, success, new clients, money. So I just think of it as, wouldn't you want to spark joy in someone else?
Yes, I think this is really key. And what you are saying, it's exactly what you said. For me, the most important thing is my family. I care most for my family. I'm half Italian and half Swiss, and therefore it's clear that I need to care for my family, and I want that they are happy. And what I'm seeing and feeling is if they are happy, I am happy too. And then when I'm going to the office, then I spread my happiness by only smiling to people, saying thank you or something like that. And they start also getting happy. And I think this really helped me. If I have a good balance at home, then I can bring that with me into the office and then try to spread that. I feel responsible for that because I have the opportunity to lead a team, and it's important that they are motivated, that they are feeling well. Because as you are saying, and thank you for taking a soccer example, that you need to move the ball and score some goals, and I think that's the best way.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, scoring goals by yourself isn't as fun as scoring them with other people.
Yeah, because then if you score a goal alone, nobody will see that. Nobody will
That's
see
right.
that, and
That's right. Who
nobody
cares?
see your
Yeah.
joy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's really about togetherness. And sometimes people used to ask me or say, well, Chief Heart Officer, that sounds so soft. It sounds so sticky. It sounds so sweet. Oh, how sweet is that? And I would say to them, talking about love and friendship isn't sweet necessarily. It's kind, it's good, it's the right thing to do in the workplace. And I don't look at myself and say, oh, she's so sweet. I say, no, I'm kind. I have a backbone, I'm strong. And my strength happens to be being with people. And someone else's strength might be balancing the checkbook or the P&L and whatever it is. If we can put our employees in positions where they're strong and positions that we know they will find success, then game over. That's great.
I think then you can win the game. It's not game over,
Yeah,
but you
it's
can.
not game over.
You
Let's start. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. Then you have a game to play. And you have people that you know are in the right positions, and let's go. And it should be enjoyable. This is where we spend all of our time, as we well know. And as we have seen, even in the past 2 years, finding the balance at home is difficult, just as finding the balance when you go off to an office every day and then come home is difficult. There's nothing easy about the juggle that we do. But there is opportunity to find, I think, some synergy in there and some fluidity. You have to be willing to, it's like when you deal with human beings, nothing's black and white. You have to be willing to roll with the changes a little bit.
Yes, and how people understand what you are saying, because perhaps you are meaning something, but they understand it differently, and then it can have a different impact on people. And I think, as you are mentioning, this is extremely important. If you have the team that work together and each other trust themselves, then it's easier to play together.
Yes, exactly.
Perhaps to try to ask a question that not everybody is asking you. You are doing a lot in your company, a lot for your employees and also outside, but is perhaps something that you tried and didn't work well?
I mean, something that I tried it at work inside the company.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that having courageous conversations is something that I try often. And it depends on the right mixture of people to have those conversations, especially in times of great duress, what's going on in the world, what's going on in the Ukraine, the COVID, whatever, Black Lives Matter. I think that, my idea of everyone living in harmony is a wonderful fantasy, and it's not one that comes true every day. And so that's something that, I believe that when we get vulnerable with one another and when we remind one another that we're just the same. Our blood is red. Doesn't matter where you come from, what you speak, what you look like. We have the same red blood inside of us. For me, I want that to be enough so that people can take down their armor and take down their guard and share with one another. And it doesn't always work out that way.
It's really great. I need to ask the last question, and then we are coming to the closure, because I want to respect your time. Let's quickly close the eyes. We are 10 years from now. What we are speaking about?
My children going into junior high school and high school. Really is raising 2 children that are kind and are generous and are giving to this world. And they are kind and they are generous in giving to themselves. I think that's really the most important thing I could possibly do, is give them that runway to then spread their wings and fly high.
That's great. Thank you very much for your kindness of sharing that. The last 3 questions to conclude the game and score the last 3 goals. If somebody would like to contact you or to follow you, what's the best way?
Oh, sure. On LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, those are all great places. LinkedIn, I'm probably most vocal. And I do write back to everyone that writes me. It sometimes takes me a while, but I love hearing what people are up to and how I could provide value.
Could you please plug also your podcast?
Sure. It's called The Silver Lining, Emotional Optimism. And for me, the podcast, people, I have to say, pushed me into doing that. For me, it was just something I like to do on my own, just talking and thinking about my thoughts. But it got me out of my shell a little bit. And I'm meeting really fascinating, fun, heart people. I don't go after a certain type. It doesn't matter to me if you're in leadership or if you're an artist. I just want to talk to you and talk with you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Is there a book that you said this helped me during my career, or also for your personal growth, that you would suggest to the audience?
Sure. I have a few, so I'll suggest a few. There is Pema Chodron, who's a Tibetan Buddhist monk. When Things Fall Apart. It's just a great book to have. Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, of course, is amazing. And then, to be a little bit lighter, Setting the Table by Danny Meyer. And that is a book on hospitality in the restaurant business. And I find a lot of similarities between that and what I do all day.
Thank you very much. And now we are really with the last highlight of this discussion. It's Claude Golden Nugget. It's something that we discussed, or something new that you would leave to the audience?
Yeah, exactly what you just said. We want to leave people better than we found them. And even if we found them at a 100, we can leave them at a 110. So think about that as you're interacting or listening or sharing or doing whatever. And that is leaving them a skip in their step, a little bit more joy, a little laugh, another wrinkle because they smiled so much, leaving them feeling that I'm a good person. I deserve to be on this planet doing remarkable things.
Thank you very much. It was outstanding. I'm not allow myself to comment that because it was a Claude Golden Nugget. This is the perfect closing of this discussion. Thank you very much for your time. It was really a great pleasure to have you on my podcast.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much. Grazie mille.
Thank you. I want to close with all the possible respect that I have for what you are doing and what you are doing for the world. Would you do me a favor and have a peaceful day?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope that the
Thank you.
audience enjoyed this discussion as much as I did. It was a great discussion. Thank you very much, Claude. Have a nice day.
So
Have a
much.
nice evening.
And you too. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share the word of mouth, subscribe it, share it. Until the next episode, please don't forget, we are not in a B2B or B2C business, we are in a human-to-human environment. Thank you!